Hello, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural Fight Club 215. I'm Joey, here along with my co-host Chris. This is our first show. We'll be here every Tuesday, 10:15, first of many. Hopefully, we get your attention, keep you on here, and nice to meet everyone.
Yeah, man, it feels good to be back. And our name is called Welcome to the Fight Club, but you don't talk about Fight Club. But in this instance, we want you to talk about Fight Club, the 215 Fight Club. Talk about
We'll change that rule, right? First rule of Fight Club is talk about Fight Club.
it. Yeah, change the rule. Yeah.
So, the first topic we're going to talk about today is what happened over the weekend. Tyson Fury. We talk about combat sports. Nothing. I feel like in the last 5 years been more polarizing than Tyson Fury, from his lowest of lows now to the highest of highs. Being able to go out on what seems like his home arena, go out on top. So we'll touch base on that right now. What did you think of the fight?
I think it was a massacre. Fury was just top dog. He looked crisp in that ring, and he showed why he's the champ. He's like the best of the best.
Yeah, I
Uh,
definitely agree. I feel like exactly what everyone thought was going to happen happened. Unfortunately, with boxing, they have those mandatory fight clauses where they have to fight them. So exactly what we thought was going to happen happened. But little bummed. Probably never get to see Joshua Fury, like everyone had kind of chomping at the bits for. But
who?
Anthony Joshua,
Yeah, you said Joshua Fury.
yeah, Joshua Fury. Tyson
Oh,
Fury
them
never
fighting.
fighting
Yes,
Anthony
yes, yeah,
Joshua. Yeah,
yeah.
little bum. We'll probably never get to see that. But I guess it is what it is. It's kind of what we see more nowadays in
I
boxing,
would have liked
anyway.
to see that fight. I like to see them unify the titles. I wish that would have happened.
Yeah,
I think Fury is just not in the boxing realm anymore. Like I don't think he sees a competition with anyone.
yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Wilder gave him a run there for a little bit, but that kind of saw by the second one, it just outclassed all around. I feel like with Fury, kind of brought the heavyweight division. Fury, Klitschko, Wilder, uh, Joshua,
Mm-hmm.
even Ruiz when he was there and he upset Joshua. They all kind of brought the heavyweight division back for a little bit. Boxing is at its best when the heavyweight division is on top. So I feel like
I totally
they did
agree.
a great job. Yeah,
Yeah.
bringing that back. It's boxing has been struggling. People like to see knockouts, and you got two ginormous dudes in the ring. You're bound to see a knockout.
Oh, absolutely. I
What did you?
I I think what should happen is because Usyk is in Ukraine right now. Joshua should have stepped up and been at the Fury fight and says, "Hey, I want you next.
Yeah.
Unify the titles. Like put your step up."
Is he
Um,
still in Ukraine? I thought he was there for a little bit, but I thought he left a couple weeks ago to start his training camp.
I didn't see anything like that. I don't know. He might
Yeah, I
have.
think
I don't
he I
know.
think he left a couple weeks ago to start his training camp. People were coming at him a little bit. I saw on like Twitter and stuff because they're saying, were you really there to help or were you there for like a PR kind of stunt? To build your
Mm,
name up like you're on the front line helping your country, and then you left to
I
start
don't know. That's
training.
kind of fucked. If that's the
Yeah,
case,
they
that's kind
were
of
they
fucked.
were
I
like
don't
saying, is
know.
that PR stunt or are you legitimately there to help?
Hmm.
But yeah, let's stay out of that whole thing about what's going
Yeah.
on in Ukraine. We're here to
Yeah.
talk about the fight, so let's just stay on topic here because we could get down that road and it would never end. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was and of course we had friend Ngannou stepping in the ring afterwards. Little
Hmm.
little shocking. I know Ngannou was chomping at the bits to get that fight. I mean that's the money fight, right? Fury.
Absolutely.
But it'll be interesting. They were talking about gloves, like boxing
8
ring
ounce
with,
gloves. That's
yeah,
the
that's gonna
rule.
be,
8 ounce. It's
I don't
low.
know. I
That's
mean,
UFC gloves. That's
yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. If Ngannou can touch him, we'll see. I mean, he stood Wilder's punches, but so we'll see how that translates. But I don't know.
I think Fury wipes the floor with Nagano.
Oh, I think so too. But what I'm saying is, if he touches him, um, they were comparing Ngannou's punches to
A
getting
Ford
hit by
Escort.
a truck. So I mean, don't get me wrong, Wilder hits probably harder than anyone, but with those smaller gloves, who knows? Who
No,
knows?
the I think Nagano punches the hardest, even more
Yeah,
than
does he?
Wilder. Yeah,
Even more.
way more than Wilder.
Yeah, that's scary. The only thing is if it's boxing rules, Nick Fury doesn't worry about takedowns, kicks, anything like that. So if it's just straight up boxing,
Mm.
I don't see how he touches them. But again, it's what if. We got those big men in the ring throwing all their might. All it takes is one.
Well, it's the same like concept almost. Is that everyone made fun of Kimbo Slice for fighting in the UFC because he's just a boxer. He goes to boxing and he was a dominant force in boxing.
Yeah,
So
when you're
it's
that
it's
big,
just
it
what
just
it
takes
is.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Houston. Alexander kind of embarrassed him a little bit that first fight. Had no gas tank there
Hmm.
with Kimbo. Remember that one on the Ultimate Fighter
Yeah.
finale?
Yeah.
That was pretty ugly.
Well, that's the thing is if Francis Ngannou can box, like I know he's training with Tyson and all this other stuff. He takes camps with Tyson for a little bit to learn practice his boxing, but it's very different when you've been trained for UFC type of fights for several years and then you just want to make a transition to boxing, like
Yeah,
straight boxing. It's totally different
yeah,
elements.
definitely.
It's scary.
You have
So
nothing to set your punches up with, and at least with the UFC, you have to worry about the takedown, you worry about the kicks, you have to worry about everything else. With
yeah,
boxing, Fury doesn't have to worry about that. Fury just worries about the overhands and the shots coming out. He doesn't worry about the takedown or anything like that. So
yeah.
can he touch him? That's the biggest question.
That's the biggest thing. Flip, if he can touch him, I think Tyson might be in for a little bit of a rude awakening.
Yeah.
But if Tyson Fury has good head movement, works his angles, and clips him, I think Francis Ngannou will probably be out in fifth round
Yeah,
tops.
that's another thing. Has Ngannou ever been? I mean, UFC has some powerhouses, but Tyson Fury is a heavyweight boxer who's putting people out.
Yeah,
Is Ngannou going to be able to take Fury's punches? I mean, that's also another question.
I think he'd probably take a hit. That guy's a huge guy. He'd
Yeah,
probably
he's.
take a
I
punch.
mean, these dudes. Some of these people that size should not be able to move like that. I say it all the time. Someone that
Yeah,
they're just genetic freaks. Some people
yep,
are just put on this earth to do one thing, and that man is just put on this earth to hit hard.
yeah. Like look at Brock Lesnar. He's six,
Yeah, just
6'5", like 290, and he moves
yeah,
like a
just
racehorse. That's
genetic
incredible.
freaks. Yeah, just people are just built differently. But
Absolutely.
I mean, look at Ngannou's last fight when he fought. The guy was a world class kickboxer. Had to kept putting him on his back, because
Mhm.
he knew he wasn't going to have the advantage on the stand up. He had that power advantage, but he didn't have the advantage on the stand up. So he had to keep taking him to the ground and trying to work submissions. He's
Yeah.
not going to have that option here with Fury. So
No.
it'll be interesting to see if it happens, and even if it comes to fruition. I mean, with boxing, we see it all the time. The fights we want to see happen don't ever happen because you have the managers involved who don't
Yeah.
allow it. Bob Arum constantly doesn't allow the fights that we want to see happen. So
A lot of them do. A lot of them just want to make money, and sometimes it's like what fight makes sense. They don't even see the bigger picture. They
yeah,
just look for the money.
yeah, they have to keep that O on their fighters' record. So unfortunately, the fans suffer because then we don't get to see the best fights possible. So
Exactly.
they want to keep their. I mean, I get it. You want to keep making the money, but at the same time, people are going to stop tuning in if you're putting them in there, but not the top of the tier talent.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting. It was a great that whole spectacle of his entrance with him sitting on the throne and
He's
coming
King
out with
Gypsy. That's
yeah with
King
the
Gypsy.
fire and everything else. I mean, he's probably the best heavyweight since what, Tyson?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know. You got Klitschko, man.
I mean,
Klitschko put up
Klitschko
some
had
numbers.
a run, but he went to Klitschko's hometown and put him down.
Hey, it happens, man. I don't know. Klitschko brothers. You got
Yeah, Klitsch-
Tyson,
Klitschko kept it alive there for a while. They kept the heavyweight division running.
and Wilder. Wilder was killing it before Tyson Fury got his
Yeah,
mental health back together. So it's kind of hard
yeah.
just to say Tyson's like Tyson Fury's up there.
I think he's
It's
a step
tough.
above Klitschko and Wilder. I mean, they kept it going for a while. They kept the heavyweight division
I
entertaining for a
is it?
while.
Are you saying that because right now Tyson Fury's hot, and that's everybody's talking about Tyson Fury? Tyson Fury.
Well, I just think the reason I'm saying it overall is because he beats Klitschko, then he
Yeah,
kind of loses his mind. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, goes on, gets addicted to drugs. Like just goes
Mhm.
into a dark place in his life, balloons up to over 400 pounds, almost 500 pounds, and looks like he's done. It looks like it's the end of Tyson Fury before he even really got started.
Yeah.
And then the Wilder fight kind of comes into fruition. Wilder's telling him you're never going to get back in shape. You're never going to be back to here. And he really motivated himself. He got his head right. He got in shape, and he was able to come back all the way around. I mean, that turnaround just makes you think, like, if he didn't balloon up to 400 pounds and he didn't lose his mind, what that run could have looked like for Fury.
Yeah. The
It would
same
have been,
thing. I would like to see Wilder come back. I know he retired, but I still would like to see Deontay Wilder come back. I think he should
yeah,
fight someone.
yeah. I mean, American boxing is still huge, and just we love to cheer on our own. So they definitely has an audience to see him there. So I definitely agree with that. And who
Yeah,
else is there right now? I
I
mean,
think you retired too young. Like, why are you retiring? Because you lost to Tyson Fury twice. It's not that big of a deal. Come back,
yeah,
train.
I mean, Fury's retiring. You got Joshua tied up. I mean, realistically, you could be running the division right now. So I mean, I definitely agree with that. What Here's
Mhm.
what I always look at it: when they need the money, they're going to come back.
Yeah,
We got our next topic coming up right here. Does Fury retire? I think we touched on that a little bit, but I
I
think
don't
he's done
think
from
so.
boxing.
I don't think he's done fighting. Maybe in the realm of boxing,
Yeah,
yes. I
yeah,
think
I
he wants
agree.
to go to WWF or whatever that thing is, the wrestling thing with Vince McMahon. I think he wants to go there because he did a little bit of stuff there. I think he
Yeah,
wants to go to WWF and maybe just do like exhibition fantasy
yeah,
fights, like against Francis Ngannou and other stuff like that. Like have some celebrity fights, have fun with it. I think
yeah.
that's where he's at now.
I think he's retired from boxing. I mean, never say never, right? In the realm of
Yeah,
sports world, uh, but I think he's done in terms of boxing.
yeah.
Obviously, the Nagano fight won't be a boxing match. It'll
It's
be,
gonna be a weird thing.
yeah, it'll be like that triad thing they had for the weird ring and stuff. But we'll see how that goes. I don't think that's considered boxing. So I would say yes for boxing, but who knows if Joshua goes on a little run here and is able to get his belt back, maybe we'll finally see them two go at it. Who knows? That would be a pretty good fight back in the arena they were in this weekend. That would probably do record numbers
Oh,
again.
probably, yeah.
So that could always be a possibility, but who knows? Possibly, but never say never, right?
Right.
So let's get into UFC now. We spent a nice amount of time talking about Fury,
Hmm.
combat sport. But we're predominantly MMA talk show. I mean, we're gonna do all combat sports when it comes up, but there's just too much to follow along with boxing. I mean, you got those big names, but let's talk about UFC now. Talk about this weekend's fights. We got a good one. First big fight of the night, Ferguson Chandler. How do you see that one going?
I think Ferguson probably beats Chandler in the second round, maybe a sub. I think a sub. I think he's gonna beat him.
Really?
Yeah, Michael Chandler is overhyped. He's not good.
See, I see Chandler. I mean, if getting to the ground, it's going to be dicey for Chandler. Obviously, because Ferguson anywhere on the ground is great on his back, on top. But I just think after the last 3 or 4 fights, Ferguson has just been demolished. I'm wondering now. I'm starting to worry about just the dudes like mental health overall. CTE is a real thing, and
Hmm.
that last fight, he just got beat for 5 straight rounds. It's just I don't know if the same Ferguson, the boogeyman's still there. I don't know if that Ferguson's still there. If he's
I-
there, it's great for the UFC, but I just don't know.
I'll say this: whoever loses probably gets cut.
You think?
Yeah, they're both on big losing streaks. Why keep these guys?
I
Chandler's
think
dropping drastically. He came over from Bellator, where he was subpar in Bellator, but he was just a big name. You bring him over to UFC, he had one win and the rest all losses. Like
well, I
Chandler's
mean,
struggling, Ferguson's struggling too.
he was a couple of seconds there from becoming the champion from Oliveira. He was close. That fight was until he got caught. I mean, that was he had him rocked. But
Right?
I agree with Ferguson, but I don't know about just because he's such a huge name. You know, everyone loves him. You know, he's a wild character overall. He's crazy dude. Who knows if he already doesn't have something up with his brain at this time because he's just a crazy dude. But
Yeah,
I see it the opposite. I see Chandler either getting a stoppage somehow. I mean, it's going to be hard. Ferguson doesn't get stopped, or Chandler just winning a 3-round decision. I don't see the same Ferguson there anymore. If this was Ferguson 3 years ago, I could see it, but I don't see that Ferguson there anymore.
I don't either. I don't think he has that killer mentality like he did before when he was the boogeyman. And Michael Chandler, he's subpar fighter. He puts on a good show. He likes to go out with a bang, but he always loses. He has a terrible, terrible like record of just going all in and doesn't care. Like you're about to get cut. You lost like what? I think you lost 3 or 4 in a row.
I think they give him a little bigger of a leash. He was a big name signing for them. You know, he was one of the last few holdouts from the pre Bellator, the pre Showtime uh, Croker Bellator. You know, he was the last big name that came over. I think they're going to give
Well,
him
the
a little
first
bit
big name
more.
was Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah,
Eddie
I mean,
Alvarez
you
was massive,
remember
and
their
look what
wars?
look where he's at.
Yeah, I mean, he's in one now, but yeah, he's not the same anymore. But it's
No,
just the longevity just isn't there. The only person longevity wise that's still doing it, Aldo, like
Jose
from
Aldo. Yeah,
yeah, I mean he's defying father time, but yeah, I mean talking about Alvarez, Chandler Alvarez, they had 3 wars.
yeah.
They had
They had some good fights, real good
that's
fights.
what turned me on to Chandler was that Alvarez fight because I wasn't really known about Bellator like that, but of course we followed Eddie just because he was from Philly, you know, so he had to support. And then watching those fights where that turned me on to him. You know, I was like, this dude's pretty good. He's gonna do big things.
Yeah.
That was
Um,
pretty good.
like I said, I think Ferguson and Chandler. I think Ferguson wins. Chandler gets cut. Maybe he doesn't get cut, and if he doesn't, it'll give him one more fight. But if Ferguson loses, I think he gets cut. I think there's like almost like a make or break kind of fight for either one of them.
See, that's possible for Ferguson. I think maybe if he loses, he gets just moved down to maybe he'll become like the kind of like the gatekeeper,
Mm.
the big fight they put on the prelims, you know, to get people hype. You know, they always put that main
Yeah,
event prelim fight as a bigger name guy to get people to tune in and get them hyped to buy the pay per view. I think
yeah,
he becomes one of them. I don't see him getting many uh, big name fights after this.
yeah,
But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Definitely interesting fight overall. It's Chandler is great at taking him to the ground, but it's do you want to do that with Ferguson just because he's so good off his back?
yeah,
So we'll see. I think Chandler keeps it on the feet,
yeah.
um, just to avoid getting Ferguson to his back, and I think Chandler gets a decision here, just because it's so hard to finish Ferguson. That's the only reason why.
Yeah. You want to go to the
And
next
then
fight?
we
Yeah.
have the co-main event. You got the two Ultimate Fighter females.
Contestants. Yep.
Yeah, I think they were the two finalists that year, right? The
And yeah.
their year, and it was just reversed. I think Esperanza won. Yeah,
Esparza.
so that's as far as I said Esperanza. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think Cookie Monster. I'll just call her Cookie Monster. She uh she ended up winning that season. So it's gonna be an interesting fight. She worked her way up back.
Yeah.
You know, she was a pretty big deal during the Ultimate Fighter season. She hit a little bit of tough spot, but worked her way back up, relied on her wrestling. So I think this is gonna be an interesting fight. How do you see this one going?
It's tough because Rose Namajunas has gotten better over the years, and so does Esparza. And I think Rose loses this.
You do. See?
I think Rose gets bodied. I do. I think she's
Yeah.
gonna get bodied. Um, I don't think I think Sparza's move set complements her so well that it's a different style that Rose is not used to. Rose is used to the strikers going all in, strike, strike, strike. As
Do you
far as
think she
this, she,
grinds out a decision, or you think she ends it?
I think she ends it. I
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
It's hard for contenders to beat champions in decision. It's
Yeah, that is
super
true. You have
rare.
to. They always say you have to take the. You have to finish them. If it's a close fight, it's usually going to go to the champion. But see, I
Exactly.
have it going the opposite way. I think Rose is able to keep it on the feet. I think she's able to keep it on the feet, and if she keeps it on the feet, I think she's Cookie Monster's in for a rude awakening on the feet. Now she did improve, like you had mentioned, but I just think Rose on the feet is a step above her, and
Really,
I feel like if she's able to defend a takedown and keep it on the feet, I don't see a path for victory for her.
really,
I
I see
just
the
think
opposite. I think Rose
Rose.
stand up is questionable. She does not have a very good stand up. She has an excellent ground game. And I think that's what's the difference. I think Esparza has a better stand up than a ground game. Because if Esparza stands and bangs with Rose, I think Rose might try to take Esparza down and try to sub her.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely possible. That's one thing that Cookie Monster has to look out for when she has her on the ground. But I think she tries to get her down, keep her on top, keep on top of her, and keep the pressure, and just ground and pound to a victory.
Mm-hmm.
But she's always had to look out for leaving her arm open, leaving something
Yep.
open, and getting submitted. So that's going to be interesting there. It's a good stylistic matchup. Someone who's great on their back, great with submission. With a wrestler who likes to take you down and likes to kind of keep the pressure on you and ground and pound. So we'll see there. It's going to be interesting. So far, we go in complete opposite directions here. So we'll see. It's going to
Yeah.
be
Oh,
interesting next.
quick take. Who'd you have when Nunez versus I can't forget Julia Penne? Who'd you have?
See, I thought that fight was going to be a lot closer than it was. A
Really?
lot closer.
I called if you watched the past podcast on the Combat Mess when I was on there, I called Penne for weeks. Weeks.
Oh, I
I
thought
said that from
people
the
weren't giving her enough credit overall.
no,
She
she
was,
fights like I can't remember Cat Zingano because Cat Zingano bodied Nunez. Fights the same exact way. I knew Nunez was gonna get trashed. I said
yeah, I'm
she's
looking
getting trashed.
forward.
She's getting
Looking forward to that
trashed.
Ultimate Fighter. That's them two are the coaches now, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I am too. I want to hear
It's gonna
some
be
beat.
pretty cool. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. And then seeing Nunez trying to reclaim claim her belt, see how she comes out now. Because I feel like getting off topic a little bit, but you brought up Nunez. I felt like she kind of got a little bit too much in her own sauce, so to say. She got a little bit too caught up in the hype of her own self, and I just feel like she didn't look like the same Nunez, the same killer that we seen before. I felt like she was just like she almost felt like she was gonna win, if that makes sense. Like when you get
I,
to
I
that
I
point,
I can see where you're going with that, but I don't think so. I just think it's that it's skills. That skill is a mismatch for Nunez. I
yeah,
think next time she's gonna get worked again, and people are like, "Oh, Nunez is done. Oh, retire. Blah blah blah." They're gonna come with all that crap. I think it's just style. That style is not for Nunez. It's
yeah.
just not.
I mean, styles in the UFC more than in MMA overall. Styles make fights. The
Mm-hmm.
constant wrestler versus striker. Who's gonna put their will forward more? Who's gonna get the takedown or who's gonna defend the takedown and keep it on the feet.
Right.
So styles definitely make fights.
Absolutely.
And these last two fights we just talked about, the styles are huge. You got a guy who likes to take it down and bang on the feet, and so we'll see. But it's gonna be interesting those last two fights, and then the main event is
I
gonna be a
love
good
this
one.
fight.
It's gonna
I
be a great
absolutely
fight.
love that fight. Gaethje versus Oliveira. I love
Yeah,
this fight. I think this one could go either way. I think it really could go either way.
I agree. The only reason I give Oliveira a slight edge is just because if you just can't put him Oliveira on the ground. Like if you're on the ground with Oliveira, you're
He's probably gonna choke you out.
anything he wants to do, he can probably do. He's just like the progression of him from where he was at when he started with the UFC to work his way up to where he's at now. It's just he's a totally different fighter. It's just crazy the the improvements he's made overall. I mean, there was times there where I thought I don't know how much longer he has in the UFC, just because there were some tough times there for him. Then he won that winning streak, and Now he doesn't even look like the same fighter. And if I'm not wrong, the last 2 fights he's had, he was rocked early, right? And then came back. I mean, that Chandler
Gaethje
fight, he
Chandler.
was rocked. I mean, no, I'm talking about Oliveira. Chandler rocked him
Oh,
early. And then the fight right
yeah.
before that, I forget who it was, but he was rocked early, and he was able to compose himself and let them run out of gas tank a little bit and got them on their back and ended up taking it. But this fight, if you had to make a prediction, who do you what do you
A
think?
prediction. I think maybe Oliveira takes it with a submission. Maybe fourth round. I think it's gonna be a late one, fourth or fifth. I think it's gonna be a late one. A sub
Yeah.
for Oliveira.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be the first fight we probably agree on.
Hmm.
And that's just because of, like I said, across the board the improvements Oliveira's made.
Yeah.
It's just he's great everywhere now. It's stand up's probably not strong as his ground, but we're talking about probably one of the best submission experts in the UFC. So
Yeah.
that's saying a lot. So that's going to be a great fight. Uh, we got those. I can't believe we have those 3 fights with this one as the main event. It's pretty
Yeah, it's a
crazy.
good
But
card. It's a really good card.
that division overall though across the board is going to be an interesting one how they work it. So
Yeah, the
it's
lightweight division is just stacked all together. Lightweight
yeah.
division.
I'm trying to pull up the rankings real fast for that to see because I feel like this this is another one where it's like the top of the division is kind of just like clogged up. This fight had to happen. There
Hmm.
wasn't much room to move. You had all the contenders just recently fighting. So hold on one second. I'm just trying to pull up the weight class to. My apologies, taking a little long.
Hmm.
Yeah, Poirier, Islam. I mean, Benel. There's just I just don't. There's just so many fights to make there. So many fights after this one.
Yeah.
So, talking about the fights, kind of transition to our next topic a little bit with the dream fights. I mean, just that division alone, there are some dream fights you love to see. Uh, you have any dream fights that you wanted to see? Maybe past retired fighters, versus current fighters, or just overall in the history of the MMA you've watched? Dream fights, and then also fights that you would like to see actually happen in the future based upon the rankings currently.
I would like to see Hamzat Chimaev fight Usman. Kamal Usman. I
Mm,
would love to see that fight.
that's a huge step up. 5 rounds, we'll see. That
I
would
think
be a
that would
good
be
one.
a great fight. I really do. And past Prime Chuck Liddell probably fight Rampage in the UFC. Not in
Hmm.
Pride, but because when he fought him again for the second time in the UFC, Chuck was a little gone. The chin was a little
Yeah,
rusty.
the chin. I mean, the chin after a while, it's just
Yeah,
after
he
the
got
wars he
glass
was in.
jaw after a bit.
Yeah,
But I like to see Prime Chuck Liddell fight Rampage again, like in both primes, just in the UFC. I just would love to see that.
yeah. I think my dream fight overall would probably, and this is just from a standpoint of I love the heavyweights. I mean,
Hmm.
any second the fight could just end. I would probably say Prime Fedor versus Prime Lesnar. I mean, that would probably have been a blockbuster.
You think?
Before McGregor, I mean, Brock Lesnar was the blockbuster fight, and I think them two together, people consider the goat of the heavyweight division versus what was looking like for a while there before thyroid articulitis took Brock Lesnar out,
Yeah.
um, was on the path to being one of the greats. I think so. I'm gonna say pre thyroid articulitis, Brock Lesnar versus Fedor would be my dream fight just to see.
And who do you think would win that?
I don't know. I mean, that's a hard one.
Really?
I think.
My mind is blown. I'll be honest. My mind's blown. I can't believe that.
Who do you think, Brock?
I think Brock gets wiped.
You do?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, Fedor had some amazing runs there, but
I think
again,
prime Frank Mir wipes the floor, Brock.
I mean, we saw
Prime Frank
prime
Mir.
Frank Mir beat Brock, but that was Brock 2 fights in. Didn't know how
I
to defend a
I mean prime
submission.
on prime. Prime on prime.
Well,
Frank Mir would whoop his ass.
so you don't think Frank Mir was prime at UFC
Fuck
100?
no. Fuck no. What? No, he's on his way out.
All right.
What?
I mean, it was a massacre there, that fight.
Yeah. And then here's another one. I think a prime Heath Herring beats Brock Lesnar. That's
Mm,
saying shit. I
that's
I
getting a
don't I
little
don't
carried away.
I don't think Brock has no stand up whatsoever.
Yeah,
If
but
you look
Brock
at him
was,
at any shape form, he had no stand up. You can say his prime, he still has no stand up. He
but
don't
he was
stand
a
a chance.
genetic freak. There wasn't many people that could defend his takedown. I mean, he could literally take you down at a second's notice with no
He sure
questions
could.
asked. He was an NCAA champion. I mean, we can't
Yeah.
overlook that. I mean, he was.
No, he's a specimen. He is a freak of nature. He can wrestle, but look what happened when he went against anyone who could fight. He got whooped
Well, I
every
mean, you
time,
can't you
even in his
can't look
prime.
at Velasquez and Overeem fight just because that was, that thyroid almost killed him. Like he lost half of his intestines. Like he was on his deathbed. People don't realize how bad he actually was. Like
I
that
understand.
was a scary bout for him. And if you
Right.
watch the Overeem fight, he kicked him right where
You're right.
he had gotten that surgery. But yeah, no, I agree. Stand up was definitely not his strong point. But I just think it's incredible that on just pure athletic ability and strength, that man became the UFC champion.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
look
he
at that.
beat people out of their primes. He beat Randy Couture, Shane Carwin, both out of
Carwin
their
was on a
primes.
tear there. We can't say. I mean, Carwin
He
was on the closer to the end,
Shane
but he was
Carwin jumped up
knocking
weight.
people out.
Shane Carwin jumped up weight. He's a light heavyweight. He jumped up.
I
He was
mean, don't get me
washed.
wrong. He had Brock on the ropes there a lot of the fight, but
He
Brock
did.
willed through it and got it. But currently in the UFC, just that whole 170 division, there's just that
170.
that top that top five. It's just so many fights you can make right there right now. Uh,
Yeah.
Usman. I would love this. I mean, I'd love to see the fight you mentioned. Uh,
You got Leon Edwards,
Leon Edwards. I don't see
Gilbert
him.
Burns, and Kobe. That's top 5.
I love to see your boy versus Colby.
Yeah, I would like to see that too.
That'd be a good fight. I don't know if that happens. Just because I think Colby Colby's a tough matchup for him. I think UFC wants to keep the train going a little longer. I think his next fight ends up being Usman. But I did see Burns offer him out for a 5-round fight. That would be pretty
Who?
interesting.
Oh, Burns versus Hasmont.
Yeah, I don't even tend to pronounce his name because some of these guys' names I just don't want to butcher. But yeah, I seen Burns offer him a 5-round fight. That would be interesting, just because they both look to be gassed a little bit, but Burns has been in that situation before,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been in those longer fights. So it'd be interesting to see that how his gas tank would hold on in their championship rounds. But that top 5, or top 6 even, because you got Masvidal still somewhere up there, kind of poking his head just because of the name alone.
But I think too when they fought, Chimaev he didn't look tired after round 3. He looked still like he had some juice left.
Yeah, I mean, he had
Burns,
some juice left, but it would be interesting to see getting into those championship rounds what he had
yes,
left.
yeah,
I don't know if it honestly matters, just because Usman is improving everywhere, uh, and his stand up is getting better. Before Usman relied predominantly getting
yeah,
you to the ground and
pounding you out.
crowding you out, but he's working on the stand up and he's getting better. It's like, now where do you take the fight? I mean, he knocked out Masvidal,
Mm-hmm.
saying something. It's pretty interesting to see. And you forgot, isn't 170 the one who fought 2 weekends ago? Muhammad?
Who?
Am I saying his name right? Bela.
Oh, Bilal
Or
Muhammad.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's up there too now. I mean, that's interesting all along. And then you got the Philly boy in the top 10, Brady. He's looking on a little run there too. They got to
yeah.
give him someone above him a little bit. I wouldn't mind seeing Brady versus the guy Muhammad just beat. And I don't see. I'm horrible with these names again. I apologize.
Yeah,
Uh,
I wouldn't mind to see that. I think we can't rush Brady. I think Brady's still in development stages, so got to keep giving him maybe 8 or maybe 9, and
well,
see
he
what.
is 9. So
Well, that
eight's
final 8.
Masvidal. You give him Masvidal?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I mean, Brady gets to the ground. He wins fairly easy. I think.
Hmm.
I
But they're
mean,
not gonna give Masvidal Brady because they want Masvidal to win because he's a moneymaker.
yeah,
So I'm not
name
gonna
keep
give him
name up
Brady.
there. Yeah, you got to keep him up there. You got to give him a fight that's gonna draw in the money. But Masvidal Diaz too would be great. Diaz
I like to see him
Diaz
fight
was
Nick. I like to see him fight Nick, not Nate.
yeah.
I like to
No,
see
I
him fight
mean
Nick.
Nate turned it around there before his eyes started flapping in the wind. That was a ugly cut.
Yeah, I would rather him fight Nick. Nate, stay lightweight, maybe make a jump. Because Diaz, he worked Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards didn't do nothing to Nate, and then Nate with 30 seconds left, he could have won, but Nate pointing his finger at him,
I feel
he
like
had him.
that's the outside of the Connor fight recently. I feel like that's kind of like the mantra in Nate. Like I feel like he waits back a little too much. Even with the Masvidal fight, Masvidal was working him early, and then Nate started turning it on later. But then the eye just got to a point where the ref wouldn't let him compete. But I just feel like
I'm
Nate waits
glad the
back
ref
a little too
stopped
much.
it. I'm glad the ref stopped it. I didn't want to see Nate get laid out. I love Nate. I mean, sorry, not Nick. Nate get laid out. I love the Diaz brothers to the day I die. He probably was gonna get flattened by Masvidal. Masvidal was working that boy bad. It
Yeah, I
sucks.
mean it was a great fight. It was horrible that it ended like that, but I wouldn't mind seeing that fight again. I mean, there's always seems to be a different kind of buzz when Nate fights, so I definitely think they
Yeah.
gotta try to book him again. But the thing is, it's like he hasn't fought in a while, and he's gonna want a top fight. And I feel like at this stage in his career, he has to come back to 170 just because the cut might be a little much for him at this point, and you don't want to deplete him to the point where it's not the same Nate. And I feel like at the 170, all the top fighters that we just talked about, it's kind of a logjam at top. Like you can't just kind of throw him in there and take someone else's place.
Well, Nate's been begging for a fight. He says, "Give me anybody. I do not care. Give me a fight." He wants to get out of his contract. He don't want to fight for the UFC no
Yeah,
more.
but it's a business. They ain't gonna give him anybody. They're gonna give him somebody
Of
that's a
course not.
marquee name. But who do you give him in the 170 in the top five?
You can give him Gobi.
See, I would like to see that, but I don't.
You can give him
People don't give
Hazmat.
respect to Kobe enough. I mean, he's a big mouth and he talks a lot, but so far he's the only one that's seemed to push Usman to the
To the
brink.
limit. Yeah.
Yeah, twice. I mean, both of those fights were close. The first one was a little less close than obviously the second one, but both of those fights were close. It's probably the best fight Usman's gotten since being in the UFC, but definitely interesting to see what they do. I mean, Colby, I feel like probably beats anyone below him. And do you do a Colby Usman too? I mean, three after he's already lost the first two. Like, what do you do with that?
No.
That division's kind of a logjam.
I think that's why he has to fight Chimaev or Leon Edwards. Like, I
What do you
think
do with
that's the next options.
what do you do with Islam?
What do you mean?
He's not. Never mind. He's 155, right? That's my
You're
bad.
talking about Hazmat Chimaev. Talking about Chimaev.
Yes. No, but I don't think he should. I mean, I just feel like the UFC ruins people sometimes just by they see this hype train coming and
Yeah.
they push them up the ladder a little too fast rather than letting them work their skills. I feel like they fall victim to trying to collect the money as fast as possible, and they end up suffering a defeat where they look bad. I mean, it worked out in the Burn situation, yes, but I just think working them up the ladder too fast in the UFC is the wrong thing to do.
I agree and disagree. So I disagree because look at Sean O'Malley. Where's his push? He's on a tear. He's getting no push.
Oh,
There's
you
a
mean Sean O'Malley, the guy who thinks he's still undefeated?
he, he's
Yeah,
still undefeated. I don't know. So and same thing with Chimaev. Like I was on that boat where it's like, yeah, that guy's gonna rush me, everyone is hype train. I was on that
yeah,
boat. After he kind of what he did to Gilbert Burns, I was like, all right, he's top 5. But
yeah.
for him
See,
to he's number 2 now, so it's
yeah,
kind of like
they have him at 3 right now. I'm on the UFC. I was looking at the UFC website to talk about the ranking. He's number 3 right now.
who Chimaev.
Uh, yeah, behind Edwards, which obviously because Edwards has been on
Yeah.
a couple year win streak, and then you got Colby, which is shocking to me just because I guess because it was such a close fight with Usman that Colby still won. But you would think after you lost to the champion, you moved down a little bit, but Colby still won somehow, which is a little shocking. But yeah, I mean, there's so many good fights there to make. I'm guessing. Did they announce Usman Leon yet, or that hasn't been announced yet?
That's like unofficially announced.
Yeah, has it been? I mean, I'm gonna look it up real fast so we can get confirmation on that real fast. I know they were talking about it for a while.
Well, Leon Edwards was supposed to fight Kobe, and he sat out. Or no, he was supposed to fight Masvidal. Masvidal got hurt. Then Leon
Yeah,
Edwards says, "I'm good. I'm not
yeah.
fighting then. I got the free ride to contendership." And
Which
that's
I
what
don't
happened.
blame him. I don't blame him for that, just because of how long he's been on this grind, and
Mm-hmm.
then to have someone else step in last second, and then I mean, it's MMA, anything can happen, and then to
Yeah.
lose your spot like that would kind of. That's why with this but Burns, that fight was so good. He didn't move anywhere because that fight was so good, and the guy just beat him, moved up to 3. So it shows you how good Burns actually is. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking here, and they said Edwards Usman. It's targeted for July, but I feel like that fight would have been announced by now, if
Not if they're working
July.
out details. They must be working
Yeah,
out details.
yeah, we'll see. So it looks like that's the next fight there for them is Usman Edwards, which would be good. It's a rematch from 2015,
Yeah.
so that'll be an interesting fight. Like I said, I don't see Usman losing to anyone in the top 5. At least I don't
No.
see Edwards being able to beat him. Just because this is a fight where obviously you see the path to victory. Usman gets him to the ground and kind of poses his will. But
Mm-hmm.
that would be a good one. And yeah, that would be pretty crazy. You have any dream fights for the heavyweight division? Maybe a John Jones dream fight if he ever comes back, if he ever gets his head together.
Um, I would like if I see John Jones coming back. I think the right fight to make is what they're making right now, Steppe. I think Steppe
Yeah,
and John Jones is ideally the best fight that I can think of right now for John Jones in the heavyweight division, and it makes sense.
yeah. I mean, obviously we all can say Jones versus Ngannou, but Ngannou's obviously looks more than likely gone from the UFC and probably not coming back after the way he's perceived he's been treated with the
Yeah,
contracts, which I don't blame him.
I just don't think he wants to fight in the UFC. I think he wants boxing because that's where the money's at. I think
Yeah,
he's on paper.
yeah.
That's what it is. Francis Ngannou's chasing paper. You can say,
But I don't
"Oh, he's
blame him.
not
I mean,
chasing
you're
paper."
a
Yeah.
heavyweight pay-per-view main event. As a heavyweight, you shouldn't be making the money they're making. When you see the pay-per-view buys they're getting, definitely definitely deserves a little more. So I agree with Nagano there, but it sucks for us as fans because he's such an entertaining fight where any second it could just be the end. So that sucks a little bit for that sake, but I definitely understand what he's doing.
I don't know. Like the past like few fights for Francis has been boring. I'm like, oh, all right, I'm done. I'm done. I'll turn it off because it's boring. Like Francis Ngannou to me is not entertaining. I think if he fights another stand up fighter, that's entertaining. When he fights someone that he might be feel threatened for about, like Cyril Gain, what did he
Yeah,
do? He took him down to the ground. He didn't stand
yeah.
up at him. I mean, that's boring. Stand and fight. That's just my opinion, but
Well,
I
I
think
think that had a
John
little bit
Jones
to
could.
do with his knee there. I think he had an undisclosed knee injury. I didn't really want because he's first time I ever seen him with his knees with knee pads on in a fight. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't normally see that from him. So I was wondering if that was something there. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, he. I think it was a little bit of both of him perfectly game planning for who he was
Mhm.
fighting, and also kind of a little bit of, and you can call me crazy, but kind of sticking it to the UFC, not giving them that highlight knockout
I can see that. Yeah, I
at
can
the
see
end
that.
of at the last fight of his career. Either side. He didn't want to be knocked out on the edge of a highlight, and he didn't want to give them the highlight knockout.
No, I agree. But back to John Jones. If he's in tip top shape like he was for light heavyweight, he's gonna run that division.
Oh, I think you're right. It'll be interesting to see how maybe his power, because he had that over everyone at 205. He was just so much bigger than everyone. So it'll be interesting to see if he still has that advantage at all at heavyweight, if he's able to kind of manhandle them and control the grappling and keeping them against defense and stuff. So we'll see that. That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, Jones just has that skill set outside of Matt Hamlin, since anyone else could beat him. But
He's a
uh,
very unique skill set. His lankiness, the way he picked angles for his
yeah,
elbows, punches. He's a very different breed. That's why he ran down the whole division in light heavyweight and
yeah.
says, "I'm done. I'll go to heavyweight now."
He's another one of those dudes we were talking about earlier. Like some people are just born for this, and his
Yeah,
body set, his skill set. He's just born for it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he comes back. I don't know. I feel like it's been like 2 years now, 3 years now, waiting for him to finally debut at the heavyweights. But we'll see.
yeah. So my final thoughts would be, hmm, I don't know. My final thoughts would be, look out for the resurgence of Conor McGregor coming back. That'll probably be my final thoughts. Look out for the resurgence of Conor.
My final thoughts is be sure to join us every Tuesday, 10:15 here. It's our new show. Hope you enjoyed the first one. Uh, Thursday night. I know it's not MMA, but Sixers. Hopefully they pull this out. Because if
Yep.
not, the city's going to be in a tailspin. First team ever to possibly blow a 3-0 lead. So let's hope Sixers pull that out. Also, I would be totally on board with your take on Conor McGregor, just because me personally, I'm going to be the first to admit, and you can ask anyone that knows me, I'm a little bit of a McGregor nut hugger. I kind of follow the dude around. Went to the Vegas, seen his Aldo fight. Went to New York, seen his Alvarez fight. Went to Boston to see him fight Seaver. So I'd definitely be on board with that. Just all about matchups for him. He's talking about this Usman fight. Horrible, horrible matchup. Usman
Yeah.
is just too strong. Usman controls it on the ground. He takes him down, controls him. I think worse than Khabib. He's a little bit stronger, so I feel like he would control it easily. So it'll be interesting to see. But obviously, you'll probably get a fight in July, so we'll hear about it soon.
Yeah.
See there, Joey loves Connor. But
But
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'll probably get a fight July, fight week. So we'll see. So should be getting that soon. We'll talk about that.
mhm.
But yeah, we have a lot of topics to talk about. I think 274 is next week and not this weekend. So we'll
Mhm.
be able to talk about it a little bit more if we wanted to. Then maybe some of the prelim fights
Yeah.
next week. But if you want to just talk about some of the other shows that we have on this channel.
Yeah, we have Mondays is the Sully Squad. Tuesdays is at 1 p.m. is Harry Sinbin. The Attacking Third is on at 9 p.m. Then you have us on Tuesday at 10:15. Wednesday you have 9 p.m. Them 205 boys. It's a Cowboy show. They're really killing it. Then you have Thursday night slams, wrestling, the WF stuff. Then you have the Devro Sports Gaming at 8 p.m. Once a month. You can check us out on that one as well. And you have the Gobbler Inc. at 9 a.m. on Sundays. And 10 o'clock, you have WF wrestling body slam moves at that time.
I just have to correct you real fast. You keep saying WWF. I'm a little bit of a wrestling nerd also. It's WWE. Just gotta
Oh,
gotta correct you there. I guess gotta correct you there.
it's all right. It's all right.
I'm actually taking my son tomorrow night to wrestling, so I'm a little bit of a
Cool.
wrestling nerd too. So I'm a little bit of everything here. But yeah,
When
it'll
did
be
they
a fun
change the WWF to WWE
a while ago because WWF's like worldwide. Some like
Federation, right? World
Yeah,
Wrestling
but
Federation.
it's like some kind of like animal rights group
Uh,
too, and they sued them for the names. They had to change it to E. I mean, it's been like over 20 years now. It's been a long time.
Really, that's how long I've
Yeah.
been watching wrestling. Huh?
Yeah, there's new wrestler too now. It's like called AEW. It's Tony Khan, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
They own it and stuff. I'll take my kid tomorrow night, so it'll be interesting. But yeah,
Cool.
we're back here Tuesday night, 10:15 every Tuesday night, barring any issues we have, which we don't foresee. But we'll always update you if for any reason we're not able to make it, and we'll update the times. But we'll see y'all next week.
Yep. Thanks for watching the Fight Club 215.